So I'm sure most of you by now have heard streamers like Dr. Disrespect and Tim the Tatman say things like,
No, you need a battle royale. That's what you need. In order for this game to go longer than 3 weeks after launch, from a spectating standpoint, it needs a BR.
and honestly, I just couldn't disagree more, because we've got games like League of Legends, Valorant, CSGO, and plenty others that are not Battle Royale games, and they're extremely popular. In the case of League of Legends, the most popular games on Twitch. You know, the idea that Halo has to have a battle royale in order to thrive, even if they're just referring to a spectating standpoint, makes no sense to me. Halo is a game that has plenty more to offer. It's got a fantastic campaign with a really rich storyline. It's got a great competitive multiplayer, and my favorite aspect of Halo, the custom games. The custom games, thanks to Forge, has presented an unlimited amount of opportunities. That being said though, all this talk about a Halo Battle Royale has got me thinking, you know, what would a Battle Royale in Halo actually look like? So first off, I should say that while I don't think Halo needs to have a Battle Royale, in order for it to thrive, I do think that it would be pretty fucking cool if it did. I actually think Halo is the perfect game to have a battle royale, largely because it's one of the few FPS games that are still out there that focuses on its sandbox rather than just the core player experience. So this means gaining an edge on your opponents by utilizing the world around you rather than just relying on your quick reflexes. So that means finding weapons, armor abilities, and vehicles around the map to help you. However, if Halo is going to get a Battle Royale mode, it needs to be done right. And there's a few areas that need to have further discussion and thought put into them before this is just thrown out into the world. Like how the weapons are going to work, how the armor and shields are going to work, and how the map is going to be. Now bear with me on this, but I actually think that out of all the Battle Royale games that are currently out there, Fortnite is the one that most closely resembles Halo, gameplay-wise. Think about it. It's got a high time to kill, similar to Halo, utilizing the shields and health. And it also focuses very heavily on its sandbox, with the vehicles, the weapons, which all have a very clear and largely exclusive function in the weapon sandbox. Now obviously I'm not saying that Halo should have like a building mechanic and just rip Fortnite off, because that's definitely not the kind of gameplay that Halo would benefit from. But there are a few things that Halo could take inspiration from in Fortnite, like for example the enemy strongholds, and this ties closely into what I mentioned earlier, which is, you know, how will the map work. Fortnite has these strongholds and like outposts that are scattered around the map that have NPCs guarding valuable loot, like better weapons, for example. And this is actually really cool. And just imagine this in Halo. You know, in that recent gameplay demo we saw that a big aspect of the campaign is going to be infiltrating enemy strongholds. Now, I can't imagine it would be too difficult to implement this idea into a Battle Royale game as well. You know, imagine having to infiltrate this outpost that's guarded by brutes, elites, grunts, and jackals in order to get like a, I don't know, a rocket launcher or a sniper rifle or even a scorpion tank. I think this would be super cool in a Halo Battle Royale, and I'd love to see this expanded on as well. You know, there could be little Forerunner weapon caches scattered around, kind of like what we saw in the Halo Big Team Battle flight that we just got. Another thing that Halo could take from Fortnite is the way that the weapons work. I don't think Halo is the type of game that would benefit from having like weapon attachments, you know, kind of like Warzone. I think Halo is the type of game that would benefit from having weapon variants. So what I mean by that is you'd start the game out, you'd probably find some common loot at first, so like maybe a gray assault rifle. And this gray assault rifle might have like less accuracy or deal less damage, or, you know, something along those lines. And then as the game progresses, you find stronger variants that have better accuracy, better damage, or even some unique attributes. Like maybe you find a golden sniper rifle that has explosive rounds. I think this is definitely the way to go for Halo weapons. Now, one of the biggest questions that always comes to my mind whenever I think about a Halo Battle Royale is how will the armor and shields work? And I think this is very important to talk about because first and foremost, Halo needs to have a secure identity as a Halo game first, Battle Royale second. And what I mean by that is it needs to keep all of the core mechanics that make Halo unique. And one of those mechanics is having overshields. So there's a few ways to go about this. I've heard some people throw out the idea that maybe you should start out like as a Marine or an ODST or something like that, function wise, meaning you have no overshields. And as you progress through the game, you find better armor. Like let's say you start out as a Marine, you find ODST armor, and then eventually you find Spartan armor. But I don't think that's the way to go, because that would make it feel way too similar to other Battle Royale games. You know, Halo fundamentally always has overshields, except for like very niche game modes like SWAT. So I think it would be smarter to start the game out with just a base layer of overshields. You could maybe make the argument that they should be weaker than they are in multiplayer. And then as you progress through the game, you find overshield boosts. Now, I'm not sure if they should be permanent overshields, because anyone that's ever played Halo knows how ridiculously unbalanced firefights can get when you're facing an enemy that has stronger shields than you in a 1v1 scenario. So I think maybe they should be temporary shield boosts. Another way of going about it is kind of the opposite. It kind of like how Apex Legends does it, only this time you start out with a base layer of shields and then you pick up shield upgrades that will last you throughout the rest of the game. A third option would be similar to how Fortnite does it, but I'm not a real big fan of this. But let's just entertain the idea for a second. Maybe you start out with base layer of overshields, which I already established is very important. And throughout the game, you find like little shield pods that little by little upgrade your shields in increments, rather than just having a whole extra layer of overshields. That might be cool, but I think the best way to go about it is with the temporary overshield upgrades. Now, another thing that comes to mind is, do the weapons and vehicles need to be nerfed? And this is actually a good point to talk about, because anyone who's played multiplayer knows that the power weapons are absolute game changers. You know, the rocket launcher and sniper rifle can single-handedly take out the entire enemy team in the hands of a skilled player. And obviously in a battle royale scenario, this would not be, it wouldn't work. So you could either make the rocket launchers, sniper rifles, shotguns, etc., all the power weapons weaker, which that might be the way to go, or you could also make them just so rare that they aren't much of a problem. Now, I think a middle ground is the way to go. I think you should be able to find the power weapons because that's a big element of the Halo sandbox. But going back to what we were talking about earlier, they also should have weapon variants that are weaker. You know, like a golden rocket launcher should be really powerful. It should probably be able to one-hit somebody. But maybe you find a blue rocket launcher and it doesn't quite get there. It does a lot of damage for sure, but it doesn't quite obliterate the entire team in one well-placed shot. And the same goes to vehicles. I think it's important to have all those vehicles in the Battle Royale. You could maybe make the argument that a vehicle like the Scorpion tank doesn't have a place, but I think it'd be cool if it was in there, and I think there are ways to go about it. But they should be nerfed compared to multiplayer for sure, because in multiplayer they can control the game essentially. Now, before I end the video, I did want to touch on one last thing, and it's that if Halo is getting a battle royale, I think it is very important that it doesn't completely overshadow the core Halo multiplayer. We saw this with Warzone not too long ago. When Warzone came out, it basically was the end of Call of Duty multiplayer as we knew it. Yes, there are still a lot of people that play the traditional multiplayer, but it doesn't get nearly as much attention to it by the developers because Warzone is such a powerhouse, and I don't want to see this happen to Halo. I would much rather just not have the battle royale mode in the first place if that's what was going to happen, because Halo's multiplayer first and foremost should focus on that traditional format. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and this discussion. If you have any of your own ideas, go ahead and put them down below. I'd love to hear them. And also, if you have any constructive criticism from me as a YouTuber, go ahead and leave those down below as well. I would really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, have a good one.